While it's exciting to start your own business, it can sometimes be daunting, especially in a field new to the region. For First Nations hoping to get into the resource sector, partnering with a business that knows the ropes may be the better option.
He recently told you about a year-old company born out of the growing mining industry. Twin Sisters grows plants indigenous to the region for mine reclamation. It was a joint venture between two First Nations in the region and industry.
It had been in the mind of the people at Westmo and at Soto, like the lands departments, had recognized the need for this, and they'd seen what was happening in southern BC and went, we could do that up here. And then Walter Energy, at their Wolverine site, said, why don't we build a little nursery so we can grow our own plants in the north? And they started with Walter Energy, started with a $30,000 idea, and to date Walter Energy has $1.4 million invested in the infrastructure of Twin Sisters Native Plants Nursery.
Mining may be the new kid on the block, coming into a scene where forestry is king. Partnerships between First Nations and industry have been a long-standing relationship.
We rely on built strong partnerships with logging companies that are certainly First Nations owned, working on First Nations land and in areas in areas where there's various strengths of claim. It's an important part of our business is to work closely with our First Nations.
We've had success stories and we've had failures, no doubt about it. We've had First Nations involved in logging side of things. Some have been successful, some haven't been successful. We've had them involved in development and layout, cruising, doing that sort of some administrative type of work. So we've helped with the capacity building as well.
Gorman Brothers Logging in the Okanagan is no newbie to the forest industry, nor is the idea of partnership, but the company calls it something else.
We always talk about the partnerships. I always say talk about the friendships as well. That's crucial, because once you start to get to know people, then you start, things develop, and it's sort of take one step and that'll evolve into something else. So that's sort of a pattern that we've tried to follow.
I think it's not about trying to do things as a one-time transaction. It's about building long-term relationships, long-term partnerships, so that together you can develop and together you can share in what a resource has to offer.
For the fledgling nursery, partnerships within First Nations themselves are an additional bonus.
The two First Nations partnering was a brilliant idea, because now we're drawing from a larger pool of employables, larger pool of educated, the people that have come back to the communities with bachelor's degrees and doctorates and that kind of thing. Those numbers are growing every year. So if you could tap into that and get them working in their own community, they'll be far more vested.
With recent rulings out of the Supreme Court of Canada, partnerships may become the rule as opposed to the exception. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.